Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darren, and in this video I was gonna make more of a flashy video, mostly about Outlaw rogues and slice and dice, and showcasing you different footages of slice and dice, but I cannot. I wish I could make an Outlaw rogue version of the Subtlety video where I had like the 1 million crits and whatnot back to back and make it all about slice and dice, but I can't. I tried it. I tried in couple of BGs and I can already tell the talent is this is why I'm here to talk about it. Let's talk about slice and dice. Is it viable for PvP? If you guys came here for a very short answer, no, I don't think so. So if that's all you want to hear, enjoy it. Maybe I'll see you playing some Subtlety or Assassination in BGs, because chances are that's all you wanted to see if Outlaw rogues work with slice and dice, because none of you want to play Roll the Bones. Now for a bit of a detailed explanation from here on. I gave Slice and Dice a fair go back in 7.2, and I had some hopes for it in 7.2.5 with some of the adjustments, but after playing it just for a few BGs, I can already see the big drawbacks with the build, and I believe that just with the changes. First of all, let's put this out there. Combat Rogue does not equal Outlaw Rogue, or Outlaw Rogue does not equal combat, and I believe that's the kind of myth that a lot of people like to propagate, where they'll just tell everybody, oh, it's just a combat rogue with a piety build, and everybody's like, oh, okay, combat rogue, I remember that in Warlords Generous, and then they try to play it, and it's like, oh, where's my red buff? Oh, why are my auto attacks not hitting hard? Where's my master hits? My internal bidding isn't there. Oh, this spec sucks, Blizzard broke the spec, fuck this game, I'm gonna go play Assassination or Subtlety. And I think you should play Assassination or Subtlety in that case. A lot of people don't have the patience to learn the fact that it is no longer combat rogue, it is an Outlaw rogue with a whole nother mechanic. Combat rogues were all about getting red buff inside. That's literally it. You spam Saber Slash that dealt decent damage, your auto attacks and your mastery dealt decent damage on top of it, and then eventually, besides all the decent damage that you're already doing, you have your burst with deep insight, which is 50% more damage, and at the time, depends when you started playing Warlords, you were unpeelable with Killing Spree, and you have a long ass stuns with kidney shots. 8 seconds. And if you had, what was it, Shadow Reflection, you had a 12-second stun. 8 into a 4, back to back, and you couldn't do anything about it. You forced a trinket, that's it. You're dead in a 12-second stun. It was kind of ridiculous and kind of cool at the same time. But that was really it. And the Outlaw Rogue is not the same specialization. And that's why Slice and Dice does not work. So, what does Slice and Dice buff? The buffs are auto attacks, which are not that great, and master hits. That's really about it. That's the problem. The majority of our damage as an Outlaw Rogue comes from Saber Slashes, run-throughs, and between the eyes. Slice and Dice does not buff any of that. Roll the Bones, however, does. We have the crit buff, it can buff all the damage of those abilities, make them more likely to crit. We have broadsides. Now Saber Slashes are hitting 20% stronger, and if they crit, if you have the right traits, then they're 20% more effective. So 20% more damage, 20% more effective crit, pretty good, more run-throughs. We have True Bearing, which allows us to get more adrenaline rushes, so that means more Saber Slashes, more run-throughs. Now we're playing the cooldown reduction mechanic, which is really cool, and a big component of the spec. We can stun more often, and that stun is at range, so it makes us utility-based. That's pretty cool too. Then we have Grand Melee, which gives us a little bit of leech, it's kind of nice. We have the Buried Treasure, which gives us even more energy than Slice and Dice would on its own. All Slice and Dice does is gives us a somewhat okay-ish buff. That auto attack speed increase is not that amazing, and then the slight energy increase that it gives us isn't amazing either. That's it. That's all it gives us. That buff is so bland, so meh. It's just there's no point of running it in my opinion. On the other hand, True Bearing, Shark buff, broadsides, Jolly Roger, all the buffs from Roll the Bones mechanic actually give you a damage buff, whether it be in sustain department or burst department. It literally does not matter. They give you a damage and buff at one point or another, which is pretty damn good. So that's it. I feel like the mystery is solved. We have Roll the Bones that's actually giving you a DPS increase in PvP compared to Slice and Dice, which doesn't. But it still does not satisfy a lot of people, so let me just go on a little bit to talk about the specialization. I understand why people want to roll Slice and Dice. Either it might be nostalgic because, oh, a combat rogue was like this, so I'd want my combat rogue, or I'm saying it's a combat rogue, but it's not really a combat rogue, to be more like what it was back in the day. I want the nostalgia, I want to be able to remember the good old days, which does not work. Or maybe people just don't have the patience to learn that it's a whole another class or specialization. Or maybe a lot of people just don't really understand that it's a whole another specialization. A lot of people probably believe that a combat rogue is still an outlaw rogue is the same thing. It's just a parody spin on a combat, when it's not at all. The only thing that it shares in resemblance is the fact that we have an ability, starts with initial SS, has 50 energy and deals decent damage. You have your Saber Slash versus Sinister Strike, but that's really about it. That's the only thing Blizzard adopted. They even gave us a whole different finisher with range and allows us our run through to deal more damage than an Eviscerate ever did. Gives us a plethora of mechanics, and the whole buff inside mechanic is gone. You can't have longer stuns, but you can have deeper stratagem, which kind of sort of gives us longer stuns. But that does it for every spec of rogue, so we're not that different. There's no specialty. The specialty isn't about the 8-second stuns, the revealing strike, or the killing spree, because even that has been changed to a talent, and it sucks. So it's just another thing, like, I could make this whole video on killing spree, why it's not that great. It's like, oh, it just doesn't work for the specialization. That's not the damage source. It is literally a talent, and I kind of wish they would buff abilities like Killing Spree and Cannibal Barrage to be more viable, but it's just the changes of the specs. But that is the biggest problem. A lot of people do say they want to try Outlaw Rogue, but they don't want to learn the main mechanic. It's like trying to play the new Monk, but you like the Master of Warlord's General, so you're not even going to play up to the new Mastery of Legion, where you have to alternate your abilities. That's how the master goes. You can never double up on abilities. That means every single ability you use is actually going to have an increased damage to it. If you double up, like let's say you go jab, blackout kick, because you did 2 blackout kicks, you're not going to get the damage benefit. So you would have to use jab, blackout kick, maybe jab, and then some other ability in rotation, then another ability in rotation, then another ability in rotation. So you have to do a lot of thinking. But if somebody decided, hey, I want to play Monk, but oh, I don't like the new Mastery, I'm just going to play it as if I played the old Mastery, and they keep going jab, blackout kick, jab, blackout kick, and they're like, what the fuck, man, I don't want to deal any damage. This spec sucks, I don't want to play it, I'm just going to play Brewmaster or something. Which is what I think exactly what's happening with Outlaw Rogue in most cases. People want to play it, but they just don't want to learn the new specialization. They don't want to learn the new build. And on one hand, I was saying that, hey, Blizzard, if you want people to actually play Slice and Dice, you have to make it a better deal. I think I now understand why they will not buff it. They actually want for people to learn how to play the brand new Outlaw Rogue instead of trying to replace the mechanics from what combat rogues used to have back in the day. And that's probably the reason why Blizzard will not update the talent and will not make it better than World of Bones, because they want for people to be forced to play the RNG mechanic, because it's just part of the class. You can't ignore it. But I guess some people would rather have a fish and have it play fetch and have it, you know, walk around on land and bark like a dog. But if it's a fish, let it swim. You can feed it and eventually flush it down the toilet. But that is life. But the fish does not die. It just goes to sleep and then it flies. It swims in the ocean. At least that's what my mom always told me, and I tend to believe her. Anyway, this is all I have for you guys when it comes to Outlaw and Slice and Dice. Short version. No, Slice and Dice does not work. Long version is this video explaining you exactly why I don't think it will. I am not going to make a actual... If something comes up and Blizzard buffs Slice and Dice, then maybe I might make a video and show you guys some kind of a, hey, here we go, here's a fun, viable build with Slice and Dice that you can actually play. But but don't expect it, because I highly doubt that Blizzard will actually do anything to buff the ability. I highly doubt that Blizzard will actually do anything to buff this dreaded ability of Slice and Dice that everybody wants me to find a way to be useful. And it just isn't. It just is not. And that's really all I have. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it in comments below. Would you actually want Slice and Dice to be a thing, or do you think the Blizzard should maintain it as like a lower end ability and basically force people to play the new World of Bones mechanic? Let me know that in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see all of you in the next one.